food shortage looming in the background. The key conversation around this is the dry spell. And now the Ministry of Agric is saying that, well, for the umpteenth time, we're going to ban the exportation of grains. Concerns about the farmers themselves, crying wolf and asking questions as to whether or not their investment will be anything to go by. Professor Roger Canton is joining us as a research scientist with the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute. Edward Karewe will join us on the phone. He's a former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. And Dr. Ramsey Inusa, with the Movement for Change, a politician, a social welfare activist. Helena Piampofo is here. Each and every day, time is getting harder.
Each and every day, time is getting.
Talking about this formation 111, suggesting that you eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or if it's a 010, meaning you'll only eat lunch, or if 001, you're only eating dinner. That is sometimes my reality. I can't overindulge like I used to. I've got to be mindful for food is expensive, and to get good quality food as well, that's a whole different ball game altogether.
Prof, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty fine.
Good to hear from you and good to see you flesh and blood.
It's an honor to have you. The journalists are so much admired, just like Bernard Avle.
Right.
Yes, I really enjoy you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, this whole fear about food shortage, famine and drought that is about to hit us, as we've been told in many different forms and ways, is it a reality on the ground?
Yes, it is a reality. In fact, I come from a farming community. I come from Chumu. In fact, the Sosala areas, specifically Sosala is municipal where I come from.
Right.
I'm a royal. I come from Chumu, the Chumu Koros Palace. And then also the Sosala West alone produce virtually almost, in fact, conservatively, more than 60% of Ghana's maize and soya beans globally. And to quote the Honorable Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brianna Champon, he even took it further that the best maize in the world, global, in terms of quality, is Sosala maize.
Right.
And that they carried out analysis on that with my Sosala Institute, Food Research Institute, and the Ghana Standards Authority.
Right.
So that tells you that this is a huge problem. And I remember my first media engagement upon calls from Chumu on Radio Ghana's flagship program, Ghana Today.
Right.
I made them to add one of our most indefatigable farmers, Mr. John Dema, who uses drone technology in his farming business.
Okay.
He has, as I talked to you, 1,000 acres of maize.
Wow.
That is about 250 hectares, yes.
Wow.
His own. And about 30% of that is lost through the drought because some of them have gone beyond what we call in crop physiology permanent wilting stage. You won't get, nothing can happen. I don't even think prayers can bring them back. They are gone permanently.
Wow.
And he also has 3,000 outgrower schemes. People have 5 acres, 10, and he supervises. He gives them the inputs and later picks back. 3,000 also. Some have suffered. And then 100 acres of soya bean. So it's quite very variable. And I was just told 2 days ago, another gentleman in the Sahara area lost 93 acres of maize.
Wow.
It's gone. Nothing can be done. It can't be salvaged. Permanently gone. And you know, these acreages I'm talking of, people sit in Accra and hypothesize all sort of rubbish. You cannot irrigate these falls. These are huge, gigantic, they are huge, massive falls. You can't irrigate them. If anybody tells that person living in a chauvinist paradise, you're talking about irrigation when it has to do with a limited area, what specific, high value crops, such as tomato, onion, okra, and pepper, and the likes. But if you're talking about aberrant weather, someone have 2,000 acres of rice. How are you going to irrigate them? So there are instances where irrigation itself is not a panacea. It will help, but then you look at other dynamics. But when we pursue further, we'll come to why did we have an idea as to whether this drought will come or not. Maybe when we are prepared,
we'll get closer to that. I know you
are very fearless.
I'm learning, Prof. I'm learning, Prof. Doc, let me come to you now. This is what the Prof is telling us. That, look, you can't sit in some air-conditioned office and start doing some hypothesis that this is what it's going to be, because the food is just not going to be available if you don't take certain steps. What do you know?
Well, thank you very well. Good morning to you, Johnny. It's been a while. And a very good morning to Prof.
Thank you.
And the entire nation of Ghana. Johnny, what Prof is saying is no different from what I would say. We've had an instance where a so-called erudite in agroeconomics, right, who held the office of the Ministry of Agriculture, they brought in a flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs.
That's correct.
And also added one village, one dam. Today, as it speaks now for itself, the policy as it is now, they can't provide data as to the economic water productivity of the one district,
one factory, one village, one dam.
One village, one dam
for food and jobs.
Yes, and planting for food and jobs.
And rearing for food and jobs.
Let me give you some data. So, according to this government, so far they have spent about 3 billion Ghana cedis on the PFJ, the Planting for Food and Jobs. Right. And part of the problems that we are seeing in our agricultural outputs, right, is as a result of several issues that have been highlighted by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Right. Some of the issues, you quite remember in 2022, there was shortage of fertilizer, and it was tagged to the Russian-Ukraine war.
That's right.
But let me tell you, John, on record that I was part of the people that lobbied, right, the Chinese government for a facility to supply Ghana fertilizer at cheaper rates. At cheaper rates, but they didn't take it. Because,
and why didn't they
because
take
of course, in the procurement chain, politicians have hijacked it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we've seen that over and over again as a result of this kind of winner-takes-it-all syndrome that goes on in this country. That's why I'm saying that if you also look at the report by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, right, in 2023, January 2023, food inflation shot up to 61%. Our poultry farmers, 70% of poultry farms have collapsed. And you know that these cereals are used, maize, soya, are used for the feed.
Right.
So this issue is going to affect the whole entire agri chain holistically going forward. And they have spent 3 billion Ghana cedis, and we are not self-sufficient when it comes to our food.
Mr. Carey, let me bring you into this comment. I said you were going to be on phone, but you came here in flesh and blood. Yes. You have always, I remember so well the conversations we had in 2021, 22, 23, and you said we were going to get here if we didn't do certain things. Now we are here. It means that we didn't listen, and we are now finally in the ditch. How does that break your heart?
Well, good morning, Johnny. It's also good to come and see your face.
You were called names, actually.
Of course. You know,
I remember so well.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, but it's also a vindication of the things we ask them to do and they refuse to do. And there are two things about people. We have the wise person and then the foolish person. They do the same thing. The wise person and the foolish person, they will do the same thing. But when each of them will do it, will distinguish them. Whereas the wise person will do the right things early enough to avoid pain. The foolish person will wait when there's now the pain that he's now trying to do what he ought to have done. Today, Ghana is in pain. Ghana is in pain. And yesterday, when I watched the ministers make their presentations, I could see in their faces the humility in them. But then, this humility...
It's too late.
It's too late. There was one journalist who also asked the question that won't this thing be politicized? They didn't want to hear that. One of them even said, why would we politicize something like this? Because we are in crisis. They spoke one after the other and they looked sober. But you see, I just laugh. These are the very people who have been entrusted with all our resources and power and authority and did nothing, and we are here today. The thing that even also breaks my heart is that so Ghana government is so rich like that on the spell of the moment, they can provide $500 million to solve a problem that has been caused by 2 months of drought. They can come out with $500 million. And yet, for 50 months, they couldn't provide $993 million to construct the Polgo dam.
Multi-purpose dam.
It tells you that we are a country that does not think about the future. And so it breaks my heart that we wait until we get to where we are. And you see, it's not just sometimes about what is happening to us now, but even going into the future. Look, we are lucky as a country, even in spite of the crisis that we have gone into. The statistics they gave yesterday, and let's start with that.
Was it faulty?
No, I won't say so, because those are conservative figures.
3FM.
What the ministry gave about the area, of the number of farmers, the farms that have been affected, they are conservative figures. And I just cannot see government having the capacity to know all the farms of this in this country. Because there's nothing that they demonstrated in the past that they have that capacity. So suddenly, within a month, you have the capacity to know all this. So whatever they've given, I see it as conservative figures. The situation is worse than that.
What is the extent of the death we are in?
The extent is that, you see, we were already in trouble, in crisis, before this has now come to add. We were going to have low output at the end of the year.
Okay.
Everything pointed to it.
3FM.
So this has only been added to it. And you see, we are not even doing scientific appraisal of the system. This is the drought. What will be the portion of damage that will be done by the Bagre Dam?
Right.
Are we breaking that down? What will be the portion of the rains that will come later on? From now until September 15th, maybe to September ending, we are likely to have heavy rains. And the rains are already pouring in the north.
Yeah.
We should just pray that we don't get floods.
If not, the farmlands will be gone.
Because those that have survived the drought, the farms that have survived the drought, will have another second shock. Because if we have the floods, because this is the time. And you can see that if you go to the northern part now, the rains are coming almost every day.
In droves.
And it's the natural occurrence. So as a country, didn't we know around this time we will have heavy rains? Didn't we know the Bagre Dam would be spilled? What steps did we ever take to mitigate the spillage. Apart from just waiting and then not move. Around this time we'll come, oh, we are doing this, we are doing that, we are doing that. Apart from that, tell me, what steps do we take? Do we need a Minister of Food and Agriculture? Do we really need it? We need to really look at all these institutions to see whether they are still relevant. If they are relevant, then their objectives must change. And then the way they do things must change. Otherwise, it creates the impression for some of us that these institutions are just a waste pipe rather than institutions meant to work to help the people of this country.
Prof, let me come to you. And
I wanted to respond to the importance of the move.
Right. Get closer
I
to
think
the microphone,
the Minister of Food and Agriculture, in fact, if you ask me as a scientist and as pragmatist, the number one ministry every country needs is Minister of Food and Agriculture.
But are they fit for purpose as we speak now?
That is another, you take into another tangent.
But,
you know,
but that's where we're going now.
But we can address that. He said it's excellent. You know, what I'm saying is that you can't do without that ministry. It's the number one.
Right.
In fact, development started from around the Nile. Mathematics, science. Why? Because they could do crop cultivation.
That's correct.
That traced to food.
That's correct.
During His Excellency, the gentle giant, President John Agyekum Kufuor, a great leader I always respect, during his second term, 2 sovereign governments were overthrown. The Malian Republic, in the Malian Republic, and Niger. Why were they overthrown? Because grain prices went over the roof. So what am I talking about? Without food, nothing works.
Right.
And I'm a Russian trained. Karl Marx-Leninist Mao Zedong will tell you, there are 3 key things man needs: food,
clothing, shelter.
And shelter, in that order. So you don't joke with agriculture, but I agree with him. It is how you manage them.
Now tell me, have we
every
managed this
country,
well?
No, I wouldn't delve into that, but I just want to buttress my
I want
point.
to drink deep from your well.
Yes.
Have we really managed ourselves well in
if you ask
that
me,
province?
During the Achampon time, we did well.
Yes, we did.
Yes, and it was under agriculture. Achampon never gave money to any farmer to go into Operation Feed Yourself, Obiarando. I'm sorry, I don't speak Tree.
That's right.
Yes, Obiarando.
Right.
I was in elementary school. We had school farms. We're producing cotton. And students who were brilliant and couldn't pay for school lessons were given common entrance fees. Were paid for from school funds. We were even eating from our school. So the school feeding is not anything new.
And that was because General Achampon had gone to school in the U.S. military school. He had seen the vast wheat farms, came back and decided that we can do this.
Yes, and of course we did. Everybody's backyard. And look, when I went to Russia in 91, go to Russia 81, 82, 82, 83, the respect they gave Ghanaian students, our Mozambican brothers, Angola, Sierra Leone, and Liberians, these 4 countries, thanking us for the Operation Feed Yourself. Ghana exported maize and rice to them. For the first, Liberia and Sierra Leone got the rice, but Angola and Mozambique, it's well documented. So we have done it before. It's not new, like Caraway knows.
Right.
We can produce more than, but the question he said, you see, when you come to ministries, what I've observed in these countries, the ministers are so powerful. What they say or want is what goes.
The final
you see,
thing.
it is, and that's the danger. Like he said,
they don't listen to the technocrats.
Why should he listen? On one radio, Ghana, George Ankara asked me that. I asked him to give me an example of a politician who ever listened to a technocrat. Just one. Give me. You are also working. You give me one. So there is a danger when you think you know it all. I am an agriculturist. I've done, my whole life is into agriculture. My parents were farmers. I farmed throughout, went to Russia, learned it, worked for this country, 30 years in research. There's no region here they don't know me, or West Africa. We've won international awards and all that.
Right.
You have ideas, but if people think your ideas don't matter, I cannot force myself.
But Prof, can we move forward as a country? Now we are going to be hungry. Now we're going to be buying food much more expensive. And then Mr. Kariwe, I remember so well. It hurts me that I have had to come back to this conversation because I remember so well, like yesterday, how many conversations him and I, together with Charles Nyaba, we've had on this particular topic. And I mean, Farmers Day after Farmers Day, even before that, after that, and nobody certainly listens. And I ask myself, we don't like the people. We don't like the expertise. We don't like the hardworking farmers. So why do we want to be hungry? Why?
Because someone controls the purse. I have said, Kwame just said, he said 500 million US dollars.
Right. We suddenly can find it now.
You can get a fertilizer manufacturing company in Ghana,
right,
and not more than $5 million from China or India. And any country that finds oil, the number one driver of its byproducts is fertilizer, urea.
Right.
I'm a Russian trained.
Right.
I lived my life 6 years in Ukraine.
Right.
Because they have the recipe. It's there. We have lime. We have a lot of resources are here. Why should we be kept importing these things when we have them, like I always say? There's a bigger challenge. You've just heard drought and we are making noise. Fertilizer prices are so prohibitive. Only maybe fortunate people like you who are a little bit living beyond. I mean, you may be a better person, but a lot of us, you attempt to do 5 acres, you simply can't. A bag of compound is almost about 500, depending on where you are. So we have more teething issues. We really need to sit as a country and plan, work together. This devoid of where you stand. No, we are Ghanaians. Karuwe is very intelligent brother. We are there. We have the potential. You Ghana is together. We'll offer these things. We wouldn't even charge for consultancies.
Right.
No.
Doc, I'll come to you now and ask you. We have had the initiatives. We have had the templates. We know what they are. But are we really applying ourselves to these templates so that the basic things that the people are... Because somebody who is listening to us this morning is only thinking about the next bowl of Kinki or the next bowl of Banku or the next bowl of TZ or something, or to ban you play or whatever it is. How does this conversation bring food onto their table? That's what they want to know. Are we applying ourselves to the knowledge and expertise that we have? Are we?
I don't think so. Just as Prof said, that the politicians indeed do not listen to the technocrats. But I think that, Prof, we have got hope as a country. Because if you look at the great transformational plan of Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, it has comprehensive policy solutions which is dubbed under the new agricultural revolution. And we all know that the Industrial Revolution, the first Industrial Revolution, was also coupled by an agricultural revolution. It was supported by an agricultural revolution. Yes, the Green Revolution. Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin has implemented these same practical policy solutions in consultation with elders in your field.
92.7.
And so, to me, he has shown that first step of leadership as a listening person, leader, right? Johnny, you see, this MPP government, and put together with academia, but I would talk politics because the root of the problem is the kind of leadership that we have in this country. I'm glad that Prof has mentioned the cost of fertilizer. Indeed, in 2020, this government did not subsidize urea. They only subsidized NPK, but 15%. And it will beg you to know that the price of NPK in 2022 was 320 Ghana cedis.
Are you talking about the same thing that the former Greek minister said the cattle and the people were stealing it across the borders? Are you talking about the same thing?
Yes, NPK. Yes.
The 15% you're talking about?
No, they subsidized so that the market...
That we could count the number of bags, but we couldn't catch the people who stole the thing.
Yes, he made that in 2021. when he said that the fertilizer was being smuggled to across the border by donkeys.
Yes.
Unaided by human beings. And because there were no human beings, they could not arrest them.
They're smart donkeys, eh?
I don't know what they are.
Well, and Johnny, if you also look at, I mean, I'm glad I'm seated with two experts in this field, right? I mean, we know very well that Africa is home to the world's largest arable land, by far. And if you look at our fertilizer usage per hectare, the global average is 135 kilograms per hectare.
Right. If
you look at that of Asia, they are doing 145 kilograms per hectare. Latin America is doing 89 kilograms per hectare.
92.7.
But unfortunately, in sub-Saharan Africa, the average is between 13 to 20 kilograms per hectare. And Ghana is currently doing an average of 20 kilograms per hectare. But in their budgetary report, 2020 mid-year midterm framework, budgetary framework report, they claim that they are doing 25 kilograms per hectare, which is a lie. Because the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana released an annual report saying that we are doing lesser than even the 20 kilograms per hectare. So clearly, we have leaders that are clueless about the agroeconomy. We have leaders that have used public funds, and we've not seen that benefit to the cost of what they have invested in the planting for food and jobs policy. Johnny, the one village, one dam today, how is it solving irrigation?
Are the dams even available? How Akumsin said that the dugouts, that money she received was fit for dugouts, not...
Well,
that's what she said.
That is what it is. That is what it is, and I'm sure...
They were dugouts, Prof.
Yes, I'm sure my two learned senior colleagues will testify to that.
But they can't qualify as that.
Microphone, Prof. So,
I was involved in the construction of dams when I just came back from Russia as a young scientist.
Right.
We have about 4 to 4 dams we were to construct under LACOSREP, Land and Soil and Water Conservation Project. I was the officer in charge at Mangal Agro Research Station by then. And I can tell you for a fact, I am not speculating, we were to construct 4 to 4 dams, but we were able to do 41 of them in the first phase of the project.
Right.
Then they extended the project again, and they were to under Roy Ayariga, and they were to do 34 or so. But I've forgotten the exact number they have done. If you walk to any of those dams in Upper East Region, you can see, you have seen some. Binduri Dam, Samson Ayenenis Community, Gambibigo Dam, they are standard dams. Those dams in those days, I came back to join research around 1990-91. A good dam that time was in hundreds of thousands of Ghana cedis.
Right.
So you cannot say you are using 20,000 to construct. That's a joke.
That's a joke.
Please, I wouldn't like to delve into, but I can tell. I saw one in Tempane. Please, I wouldn't.
Let's
leave that aside.
But Prof, see where we are, because when Mr. Kaiwe and Charles Nyaba spoke with me many years ago, 3-4 years ago, they maybe understand that there's a whole mix of storage, of irrigation, of improved seedlings and seeds or whatever it is, that all come together to make sure that we won't be in this mess we are in. So I need you to expose what it is that we have been trying to say we are doing that we are actually not doing. The dams that we have, you are saying on authority that they are not fit for purpose. You can't call them
I wouldn't.
dams.
Exactly.
Now, if we know that we have 2 seasons of rainfall, right? And we're talking about cutting down, for example, on the importation of rice and maize and other. Because now literally import everything, including fish, when we have the sea here. Could we have had better dams, the quality that could have saved us from this mess?
Why not? That's what I've just given you the synopsis of the 2 sets of dams that were under LACOSREP. Yes, they exist. And I've given you an example. Drive to Upper East Region. It is a region that is replete when you're talking about water bodies and water management.
Right.
The average Upper East farmer, no farmer in anywhere in Ghana can compare with them. in terms of comparative and competitive knowledge in water management, they are fantastic.
Right.
I can tell you on authority.
Right.
We even formed Roy Ayariga,
Of course.
Water Users Association. It's working very well.
Right.
Dam management.
Alegibam's own water users.
Exactly. Very excellent dams, But these dams, in fact, it will interest you to know. When I was invited as the lead speaker at the Koforidua Swedru conversations by Samens and his team group on 12th of February at our Lisa Hotel, I said clearly, if you really we want to solve these problems we got, it should be done holistically, not by a fire brigade, sporadic, hand-picked. It doesn't work. It's unscientific. People, we don't learn. Nkrumah tried what we call tractorization.
Right.
Go and Google. They brought tractors from Yugoslavia and then the former Soviet Union. All manner of tractors, crawlers and those on wheel tractors. How far did they go? It didn't work.
It didn't work.
Kufuor came, they brought tractors from India. They called them, is it farm track? Did it work? Then we had John Deere. Some people, even some, I won't mention names, people, some strong men fed them. You know it very, it continued. You see, when we're talking about mechanization, mechanization is not equal to, in mathematical or arithmetic, equal to tractorization. The two are different, and that's what you said, Carol.
And we've been getting it wrong.
Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
If you exist, there are many like
no,
you
I
who
cannot,
exist.
excuse me, I will not go and bootlick a politician for a position. I will never do that on credibility. I will never. If you see my worth and come, we can talk. Then you will listen to me. You have seen my work.
Right.
You've invited me.
Right.
Did I force?
No, you didn't force
I know
us to.
you on TV.
Right.
I've been telling my wife and my son, I love this gentleman, very fearless. I've never seen you. I've never had any dealing with media.
But we
general.
folled your work
have,
and we thought that you should,
yes,
should
and
be
you
part
have
of this
given me,
conversation.
the Bible says, give honor to he who honor is due.
Right.
And I've accepted. I had a meeting with a group, West Africa, and I said, no, I have to come for a national assignment because it was bordering on drought, and my people are suffering up north.
Right.
So I should come here. You've given me honor. If you call me now, I'll come to give you what I have.
We thank you.
Yes.
We thank you.
And I thank you for this opportunity.
you, sir.
We can do better, to be honest with you. Yes.
Mr. Carroll, let me bring you in. This storage facilities, you've also been talking about storage facilities. Yes. Have we stored enough so that, because I'm going back to the Bible, and I'm reading the story where Joseph in Egypt, and they stored for the drought and etc. Have we stored enough? We said we're building one constituency, one warehouse. We said that, right? Have we stored enough?
Well, your question is tied to my preface when I said that my preamble that there are the wise person and then the foolish person.
They do the same thing, but the time they do it differentiates.
It differentiates that. It is not at the time of Christ that you now want to store. You store against the time of crisis. You see, but then before I deal with that, I just wanted, because I want to come from a layman's point of view.
You are not a layman, by the way.
Yeah. For all of us to understand. You see, because we've been grown into farming. We're born into farming. We grew into farming. When you talk about this station, gave me, I had a bad name when this station met us in 2016.
Right.
Yes, they came to the GUC hall there.
Right.
And then by then it was Winston.
Winston, yes, my co-host at the time.
They talked to general secretaries. Then he came to me, and I said the future is for agriculture is irrigation. And they said, oh, but the governments, NPP says that when they come to power, it will be one village, one town. And I said, yes. But I don't think that is the way to go. Then I liken it to that every Ghanaian needs transport. But not every Ghanaian needs a car.
No. Exactly.
Because there will be chaos on our streets. We need water to drink in our homes, but we don't need our own boreholes. We need electricity.
Exactly.
Not everybody, we don't need our own generators. So when you talk about, you see, so the government concept of one village, one dam was highly political rather than technical. Because I went to Tono to do my farming. It is not in my village. People came from Bolga, from Boko, the rest, all over to farm at the Tono irrigation there. They didn't come from there. They don't need dams in their villages before they do farming. So you could see that. Then I asked some critical questions. How many villages are there? You need to know the villages. How much are we going to spend on each dam? They never answered those questions, and I ran myself into trouble. And I never stopped asking them. Today, it has come to show that 250,000 is used for a dam. Dams are built for different purposes. As a layman, because so that the difference between a dugout, a dam, and all that, let's leave that one for the technical people. We know any pump, for that we say is dam. We have a small dam, we have a big dam, as an ordinary person. The dams are built for different purposes. If you build a dam for domestic use and for animals to drink, when animals go into the dam, they will drink. When they are satisfied, they will leave the water there and walk away. If you also go and fetch that water to mold your bricks, you won't say because there's enough water, you put more in your cement to mold bricks. So you use, and the rest is left. But you see, but if the dam is meant for irrigation purpose, that dam must be good enough to hold water.
But how do you have dams that are thirsty?
So that is why the one village, one dam, the concept first is, they said for irrigation purpose. That's what you look at.
The crop specific.
Irrigation purpose.
Exactly.
For crops, you see. They are not saying that they want to have dams for the village, but dams for irrigation purpose. And then you spend 250,000 to do what? What type of dam is that? It can hold water. You see, so the purpose of the dam and what the amount of money they spend on each dam, that's not me.
Listen to Hawa Kumsi, Minister for Special Development Initiative.
Last year, February, but we had to do survey to even identify the areas that are suitable for the small dams. So as at the February that I mentioned, that was when we started with the survey work till somewhere later, early part of this year, when some of the projects were awarded for constructions to begin. You all saw that some of the projects are ongoing. We are about between 70, 80, maximum 90% completion. When we say 90% completion, the spillway, the embankments, and then the grassing and other ones will sum up to maybe 20, 15% to make up the 100% that we want the project to be completed. So as we are here, we've seen the phase one, or the first phase of the project, and you saw that some of the areas there were a lot of water. There was a lot of water in the dam or reservoir, but other areas too we don't have because of the rain pattern. There are areas that the rain is heavily started, others is yet to start. So you see that there are small or some little water in the basin. So that is what we have brought you here.
And I think today we've had the opportunity to see what we mean when we say a dam in this part of the country. These are the small earth dams we are talking about, and we've been taking through the processes. It has about 3 major features. The embankment, like you have seen, which is made up of mud, but then they reinforce it with the stones on one side and the grass on the other side. All of that is yet to be done as part of the work that is going on. Then they have the dugout, which creates the reservoir, and I think in many of the places we've been to, the contractors have shown us and the consultants have shown us where the dugout is and the depth and therefore how much water can be there. And then the spillway, we've all seen a number of spillways today that take away the excess water should the dam go beyond certain levels. So I'm sure that as you explain and as you report on it, you can also then explain to people clearly that when we say the dams in these areas, this is what we mean. You've seen it for yourself and you can tell people about it.
Kojo Ponkruma was our Minister for Information at the time. He's now Minister for Works and Housing. Before him, you had Hawa Kumsi, Minister for Special Development Initiative. Now I'll come back to you in terms of the storage. Mr. Kaiwe,
I think
this is what we were told then.
But the whole point is, who is holding who accountable?
Oh, that's why you're here.
Because, you see, Honorable Howard Thompson is still in Ghana.
Right.
I don't know whether she's now a minister or not, but she was in charge of this.
She's still
project.
a minister for fisheries.
Very good. Now, you see.
From special development initiative
to fisheries.
Right.
Yeah. So she should come to account for the one village, one dam. Because in the past, the Ministry for Agriculture was running away from taking responsibility for the one village, one dam, saying that they did not construct them. It was under somebody else.
But when I asked the former minister, I said it's utopian to even conceptualize one village, one dam. I had a one-on-one. You said it's utopian.
So for us,
That is quite
so you can see that people are not being held accountable. But to ask the question directly as to whether we have stored enough, in all this discourse, I would like the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Minister for Finance, and those who are at the forefront of all this, to come and tell us how much food stock that do we have. What is the value of this company, the buffer food stock company? Where is it? What is its value? You see, now, when we were complaining and raising alarm that they were not buying food, today they are saying that they are allocating some money to buy farm produce from the farmers. Why not buffer stock company? If they had bought food and stored it, will we be where we are today? You see, so you can see that again. To be sincere, it's a mixed feeling for me. I listened to them yesterday. I felt for them, but I cannot agree with them. I cannot believe them. Because the things we had to do, we refuse to do them. Today, we are now getting all the money and the rest to do all this. We used 7 years. How much did we spend on planting for food and jobs? How much did we spend on one village, one dam? And today, we are spending about 8 billion. We wait. So if those programs had worked well, do you think that 2 months of drought would have sent the country to this level?
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes you don't need to be a technical person. You just need to think reasonably.
Common sense.
It's common sense because you see if the outcomes were there, and I have not seen them, he has not seen them, you two have not seen them, they will have released that stock.
Right. And we wouldn't have even be having this conversation.
We will not have it. So you can't see that for the 7 years that we have spent on agriculture, on all the different components of agriculture, one village, one dam, one district, one factory, because they are all linked up, are all in shambles. They are in shambles because if you look at even the one district, one factory, they are mainly agro-based industries. They are supposed to source their raw materials from their communities.
That's the original plan.
That is the original plan. But even they are mainly that. I'm saying mainly, even if some of them have changed, if you look at it overall today, even today, I can bet you that over 50% to 60% to 70% will still be agro-based industry. Now, if there's a problem with agriculture, how do you expect those factories
to be fed?
Where are they going to get their raw materials? So you see, you can't, in one vein, say that you want to industrialize, you want to transform the economy, and you don't know how you are going to do it. Agriculture is the backbone, first to give food to all of us, and then to provide the raw materials. Okay. Now, the lack is this, and I'm saying, I made this point that we are even lucky. We are lucky now. The disaster, the crisis that we have now, we are lucky. Look, as they talk around that they want to solve this problem, no one is talking about the impact of Galamsey. You see, the northern part or those areas that are affected have not suffered serious Galamsey activities. Though there are pockets of them, we have not suffered serious Galamsey activities. Otherwise, all that you want to do will be a waste. Today, and I will not stop saying this, today, it doesn't matter if we get $100 billion to construct dams, irrigation dams in the Galamsey, we cannot do it. Go to the Proud River, go to the Brim River, go to any river. If you, the simple thing about irrigation is to block the river, trap the water, and I'll put your valves there, whatever technical names you can have, and let the water pass, which you don't want, and then you store a certain quantity of water.
The silt, and then you can do your business.
But today, all those rivers cannot be dammed for irrigation because you harvest what? Galamsey water. And when you harvest Galamsey water, so we have, as a country, as a government, or led by our government, to deliberately commit this environmental crime, not against the people of who are living today, but generations to come, also to commit environmental crime against other people who are not part of Ghana. The sea does not belong to all of us. The fishes in the sea have the right to live. If we are not ready to consume them, they have the right to live. Do we know, our scientists, have they been able to come out to tell us how much effect that the Galamsey water that has been going into the sea has on the those fishes?
The fishes, aquatic life.
What about our neighbors? And then that water is washed to other countries because the sea doesn't stay at one place. It's not like a dam. It moves and comes.
Right.
We are creating all this. So I'm just saying that if the northern part is about 62%, like the minister was saying, food stock of the country, the 40% is heavily, suffering.
I see. Dr. Nusa, Prof, sorry.
Yes. I wanted to add to what you see. It is on record. And you can go and check from JIDA, which was formerly IGA.
Right.
All the irrigation projects in this country, there are about 16, were all constructed by the late Achampon, not any other government. Go and find out. I'm telling you.
Right.
So one would have thought the most elegant thing, that wise thing we could have done is to go to those irrigation dams, make sure they are functioning. A lot of them haven't seen rehabilitation. It's still not that is a little lucky. VIA and other, VIA is even not being used for its purpose for irrigation. It's just providing water to Bolga Township. Bontanga is there, they are not utilizing it. Those in Ashama, Eastern Ashanti regions are all in very deplorable
There was one
state.
or two bad.
So why not? Yes. So why not to have used part of this money, go and fix these ones? Like I said, when this tractor issue started coming, if you go to northern Ghana, the tractors that are on stones, they are in thousands. True or false?
Yes.
So one would have thought that instead of importing tractors, why not get spare parts? We have very good mechanics. Fix excellent, Mr. Ferguson, original. You would have needed just a fraction of that, not more than 20-30% of those millions loans. I'm telling you, and fix them and deploy them to the farmers.
But there's procurement. Somebody must chop 10%.
Well, then the second thing is policy. What is a policy? When we talk about policy, what is a policy? Who formulates policies? In this country, are policies really people's driven? Do we have what we call policy reviews? You just throw a policy, nobody, I'm challenging, tell your parliament, do they review the things they throw at us as policies? Whether they taxes or what? Do they go around to review of their constituents? These things we have passed, are they useful? They say parliament is to make laws, and so what? You make laws, you can't implement. The laws are ineffective, inefficient. Do you need those things? No. So we need to be very serious here. You pass laws, you don't review them. Just like he said, if these things they had a midterm review, we would have. You see, as you start, you review.
Right.
Learn. We call it monitoring. You monitor, review, evaluate, and learn from them. Because there are mistakes you will have made.
Right.
I'm sorry if I'm stepping on the.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
See, we should be clear in this area. And then we should do the distance. Number 2. Number 3. Proliferation of ministries doesn't help anybody. In all countries I know, Russia, US, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is a huge area. In fact, it's even rural development, like Assam, is added to it. Water. You are talking about water. You are talking about forestry. Are they not agrarian?
They are.
All these areas are to be together. You split them.
There's no
doesn't make sense.
coordination.
No. Ask those ministers whether they even meet to discuss those ministers that link, for example, agriculture and health, because some of the diseases they get are from eggs.
Right.
The way we deploy herbicides, insecticides, we can cause a mess to them. So do they even talk?
About regenerative health.
Exactly. Do they talk?
They fight.
You are talking about even gun
rather
education,
fight.
even gun education service. We should be training people. How are they even linked to your agri colleges and others? They are not. They have out of phase. So I'm sorry if I may be cautious.
No, don't be apologizing for speaking the truth.
See, but let's
I
be
don't
clear.
apologize for speaking the truth.
Yes. So these are the issues we are talking of, Johnny. We have the knowledge. We have the expertise. We can do this. We are not talking theory. You can find
Something
out.
that you have lived through and
I have. Go to CSIR and ask about who Professor Cantor is. Go to Nigeria. Go to... Ask who I am. Go and Google me. I'm not a rhetoric. I talk on what I know and what I can do. Carry I've worked with him. Ask him. I'm not a... So what I can do, I'm not a rhetoric. I talk about what I can do, what can be done. So if you put me, we can discuss, like he's saying.
Right.
You change ideas, and if they throw them overboard,
What
they
can
get
you
something.
do?
What can you? I cannot. So even I was telling Samson, what is his name? Bernard Avled,
Right.
I will stop patronizing media engagements
don't
like
stop.
that.
No.
Honestly, I want to withdraw.
We beg
Or
you.
if you say something and it's not being adopted,
You shouldn't be discouraged.
I beg you, because Napoleon said something.
Microphone.
Napoleon said something that the world in which we live in suffers not because of the doing of the evil people, but the silence of the good.
Yeah.
And so if you are a patriotic good citizen, as you are, look, you need to speak. And I'm glad that he's espousing all the truth according to the gospel of...
But you know, sir, doesn't it hurt that you know your left from your right? Thank you. You have the knowledge, you have the expertise and experience. And when you talk, somebody who doesn't know anything about the field, it's just because they belong to a certain political class.
And that is why...
They're the ones who dictate to you. And
that is why we have started a revolution.
To what end?
Till we get our goal, achieve our goal, that there's parity in this society, that there's inclusivity in this society, that everybody should belong to Ghana and not a few. We will not stop. And that is why we say that the movement is here to stay.
What solutions are there? I mean, our senior brothers have given us some solutions. We'll come back to them. But what solutions are there really? In the interim?
I am glad that Prof mentioned a lot of things. And it's like, when he was speaking, I wanted to even ask him if indeed he has even read the Great Transformational Plan. Because some of the things that he said are captured in the Great Transformational Plan.
The truth is one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
The truth is one.
And if you compare our plan to all the manifest, and that's why we keep on saying that Ghana needs a long-term developmental plan.
Exactly.
Prof,
exactly.
we need a long-term developmental plan. We don't need manifestos.
And manifestos would have just been strategies of implementation.
Just promises.
Right.
And they should have been.
So we have the
for example,
and then how to achieve the blueprint.
For example, we want to achieve food self-sufficiency.
Right.
Not food security. The two are different.
They're different.
Food self-sufficiency is when you rely on yourself. You don't resort to outside. But food security, you can have the money, go out and buy. But if they say they won't sell to you, like India during the COVID, the first said they won't export rice.
Right.
That is all. You will have your money, all right.
But
you
will sell
cannot.
to
So
you.
eat your dollars or eat your CDs. So I agree with what the point you raised. So we need to really tailor it to the basics and to do the things rightly, rather than just.
So, Prof, we are all in the same boat, thankfully. Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, under his economic cluster in the Great Transformational Plan, has brought a policy solution dubbed under the aegis of the new agricultural revolution. And under this policy, I like what Doc said, that everybody uses a vehicle, but there is no need for everybody to own a vehicle.
Right.
Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, this faith, has realized that we have strategic regions that can be the breadbasket of our country, and that is the 5 northern regions. And he is promising that he will make sure that the 5 northern regions become the breadbasket not only for Ghana but the whole of West Africa under his new agricultural revolution. It is going to be coupled by research and development, integrated research and development, because we need to support academia in research and development. When we are planting, now you hear the yields of cocoa are going down because of the swollen stem shoot virus or disease.
Black pot and
exactly.
Yes.
And we've been planting cocoa for how many years now? Yet we can't even invest in the research and development of the genetics and of these plants to be able to mitigate this issue.
In fact, there's a lot of research. Right? A lot of research papers have been done. Again, it comes back to
implementation. Yes, the political will.
We don't listen to the experts.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, Ghana was the first country to come out with quality protein maize, Lifeson, tryptophan, methionine, and all that. About 5 of them. Even Americans borrowed our maize. The most highly patronized maize in the whole world is Obatampa.
Right.
Every country, India, wherever you are, they use our Gem Plus. And like you said, we have what we call drought-tolerant maize for Africa, which we, CSIR, Crops Research in Kumfumiswa, Savannah Agri Research in Nyankpala, where I used to work, we have come up with this. If our maize gets 1 month of rain, well distributed, or you can get 10 bags of the 100 kilograms one from it.
Wow.
Compared to what they are bringing in from South Africa, and you get nothing. It's chaff.
Wow.
But they will not use Ghanaian. I have told you, sir, they will. I told Akod, they won't use Ghanaian maize, which is drought tolerant. In fact, if we had used the maize we've released, there are over 20. I am telling you today, walk to Crops Research, Fumiswa or Nyankpala.
Right.
Look, farmers in Upper East, your place, who have worked with me in Upper East, are following us for our maize. So those who use our local, the Ghanaian, they haven't called me to tell me there is drought on their farms.
Because just 1 month rain evenly distributed.
Because that's right. That maize is drought tolerant, not resistant but tolerant. It tolerates it, and is able to quickly
adjust.
Exactly. And there are some natural crops that are naturally drought tolerant. Millet, both late and sorghum. Bambara granule. Look, my brother, we have the knowledge. We can tweet these things. But I'm here. I don't have the distance.
So, Prof, you are welcome to join the movement for change.
Oh, no, please. Let's talk agriculture. Stop this perpetual campaign.
Let's
talk agriculture. How do we feed our people? What solutions do you have?
I'm coming. Please, Donny, you see, sometimes,
I want to feed our people.
Donny, sometimes some of the utterances you make, or some of you journalists make, I mean, does not sit well.
We want to feed our people.
We're talking about a government of national unity. We're talking about a government where everybody is part.
People.
So we have brought in solutions.
We want to. So tell us the solutions.
So that is why we're saying that.
Tell us the solutions.
The five northern regions will be the breadbasket of Ghana.
Go ahead.
And if it comes to agriculture, right, one of the key issues that we face is financing. Today, look at the interest of our loans.
92.7.
We need to support commercial farming in our country with a single-digit interest rate on the loans. And Honorable Alan Kojo Tramante is promising all farmers that when he comes, they would have a facility to financing of loans that are of single-digit interest rates.
Okay.
Right. He is also going to establish a machinery and assembly plant, right, that would support the equipment that are used in agriculture, so that we have made in Ghana products in terms of machinery to support our agricultural processes. Because right now, we can't indulge in the same anachronistic agricultural practices that do not have any, I would say, high yields. Right. That's why Honorable Alan Kojo Tramante, under his GTP, has tailored down policies to support the mechanization of agriculture. Right. He's also saying that he would encourage mass participation of farming by our citizens in the operation Own a Farm or Farm for Life, which will be coupled by the youthful population that we have in this country. He's also saying that he will foster partnerships with faith-based organizations to drive mass agricultural production. Because we have a lot of these churches that take offerings, right? And they are highly liquidated. And they can use these monies to support the agriculture industry. So if Prof is getting, let's say, 10 million Ghana cedis for maybe the Church of Pentecost each year or every quarterly, right? He can be able to do something in his field, right? And grow crops. Then we're also saying that we would initiate and support educational institutions to engage in medium to large scale agricultural production. That's what Prof reiterated. That during the Champions era, that thing was there. And it was helping us to be
even Navrango Secondary School. Navrango Secondary School is renowned for that. We even had A-level grade, where they train you. Yours is not to go to university. You complete. They give you a tractor and equipment, get you, ADB will give you some loan, and you start. In fact, a lot of the successful Dagomba students went into that. That is why the rich Dagomba farmers you see today and before in Achampons and were from old students of Navrango. We had a school farm in Biu, over 50, we had over 200 cattle. Goats and sheep. Navrango, that is a great school. That school. We never went on break because of lack of food. No, we will go late and come early. Common sense by our headmaster, a white man, Mark George McNora, a Scot. Yes,
after he left,
it has crumbled. Yes, the other school that is doing well is Swedu. You know that school has an agri component. There. They don't go buy and they feed themselves. I mean, a lot of this is Canton Senior High, my younger brother Mohammed Canton. Last year they had almost 30-something bags of just demonstration for and soya bean. And that is the way to go. Tomato, pepper, and you don't need to go and pick any distance.
I see.
So these are the points.
Prof has definitely endorsed our GTP then.
So are you saying, Prof, that we need to bring back that school system where people have to
mandatorily? I said it at the Koforido. I will send my presentation to you. And I was clapped for. They were the two turns. Look, three things are concluded, and one is this. For example, you have kept prisoners in Nsawam. You go to every region, there are prisoners locked up there. Government is rather feeding. This is childish nonsense. Why do you feed prisoners? You can use the prisoners. Government have lands. Plenty lands all over. Why not deploy these people? Get tractor to be there. We can train them. So one, they will be learning agriculture. When they come out, some may go. Some may adapt, some may not. Like you go to preach, some listen. Then you can also feed yourself from them. You are giving them 1 seed 80 pesos a day. But if they farm, they'll have enough. So give some to them to feed, and some can deploy. Look, it's a low-hanging fruit. You don't need any rocket science to do that. So this one village, what is it called? Planting for could have targeted these. Present. Look, if you go to Upper East, Navrango, there are plenty young men lying there. You go to Boku, huge, the same. Tamal is even wet. You have them here in Sawam. And people are still threatening to send people to pray. So, what are you going? Why should government be feeding all these people? If you are to be president, yes. What's his name, doctor? If he counts his, what is it called? Your movement for change, and he misappropriate, and they are saying he should go and work, not to go and be certain in the. Exactly. To feed Ghana, save the dollar. Let me tell you, the dollar we are all crying about can only be nipped in the bud permanently by agriculture. True or false? Not any economist. I take it or leave it. No economist, no banker, no finance person can handle that thing. It will just only be, I'll call it, it's like a mirage, a farce. You know.
Mr. Kaiwe, closing thoughts. What do you say? What do you leave us with? Solution?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to also encourage
the Prof not to abandon us.
Not to abandon, because you see, nobody, absolutely nobody, is more a Ghanaian than anybody. I, sitting here, should not be more Ghanaian
microphone
than you. Should not be more a Ghanaian than you.
Absolutely.
If I can, and you see, you cannot, once at this stage of your training and exposure, it's just to give back. At my level, what I have is to give back. So don't get discouraged. I know it's painful, but then we'll work together and make sure that you don't get discouraged. But I think that we just hope that our government will listen. We have an immediate problem to deal with. We should put our hands together to deal with that problem. And when we say we put our hands together, it does not mean that one can walk anywhere and start working. Government must lead us and work with the people that actually, the appropriate people to deal with this thing. For once, I want to see government depoliticize this action. For once again, I want government to make sure that no single person goes astray. Every person must go to where it comes from.
Right.
Because if we don't do that, I don't know when again. And they have gone to see that there's abject poverty on them. I also listened to the finance minister who says, as an economist, he brought further dimensions to the drought, where the economic health of the country is going to be seriously affected. Exactly. So with all this, I believe that what we need to do is to make sure that this program they put in place, they work with the right people and make sure that anybody who does anything wrong should be held with accountable.
Thank you. Dr. Enusa, closing thoughts.
Well, Johnny, I'm very, very grateful that today's conversation has been an affirmation of indeed Honorable Alan Kojo-Tramante's vision for this country in terms of agriculture. And all these experts affirm that indeed the ideas in the GTP are valid and can be done and have those solutions to be able to mitigate our food security issues, right? We are saying that if Honorable Alan Kojo-Tramante is brought into office, we would investigate, right, the PFJ policy and the monies that went to the PFJ, because you can't spend 3 billion cedis. And today we are talking about food insecurity in this country. You can't spend millions of Ghana cedis on one village, one dam. And today we have issues with irrigation in this country. So we are going to investigate and prosecute anybody that is found to have misappropriated monies that was meant to be used for these projects.
How do you protect the vulnerable before Alan Tramante comes to power if the people decide to choose him?
How do
you protect the vulnerable between now and 7th of January if the Ghanaian electorate decide to elect Alan Tramante?
That's why we have tailored down policy solutions in the GTP.
No, that is.
I know if we can, but
we have an immediate problem. How do we protect the vulnerable now?
Yes, so
that's
we
the
would
question.
Advocate. Yes, I'm saying that we would still advocate for government to do the needful and listen to the technocrats in these fields, because it is seen that from time and time again, since the inception of our fourth republic, that politicians do not listen to the technocrats that have the erudition to be able to solve our crisis in this country. And that is why we are saying that we would provide and promote a government of national unity, so that tomorrow someone like Prof and Doc will not say that, oh, I feel hopeless as a Ghanaian, or to speak on issues because when I speak, some baby with sharp teeth would come and insult me. You understand?
Prof, you have the closing word.
Yeah, I would like to first thank you for this opportunity. You've been someone I've admired so much, not knowing that one day we will. No, I really admire you and continue with that. Yes, I also like to plead with you to give attention to agriculture.
I will.
Not when there's
issue.
And Ghanaians, that's what we're doing to our agriculture. But I don't think anyone came here without at least taking cocoa or apple or what, at least something small. Right. That shows the importance of food. So I would like to plead with you to help us in that regard. Then I also like to use your medium, and I know you are very good in that. That one day I'll come back here and thank you. the roads of the Sasara area are the worst in this country.
Right.
I am telling you.
Right.
The worst roads in Ghana are in Sasara. He knows. We share borders with.
Yes. In fact,
China has been crying.
I went to Golu.
That's Le Mans.
Yes, and the road, it gets to a point, the road actually, your car actually sinks into the road.
Yes.
I went there, I drove through it myself.
Personally, I know Ghanaians.
I did some work for the IEA and I felt it.
Yes.
This was in 2009.
So you can imagine it's worse off. I will plead with you to use your medium.
Right.
I know who you are. You could try to tell the Minister for Roads and all those who have the power.
Right.
I don't know whether we are part of Burkina. If we are, no, it could be that we are not part of Ghana. If that is, because we have our brothers there at Bro.
Right.
There's a silence there. Then we just
migrate
and then leave you so that, no, if that is the case, but I mean, it's so serious. Meanwhile,
you feel abandoned.
Yes. I am telling you, nobody since 32 years, nobody. I am telling you, no government. Ask them to come, to call in. No government, even China Pure, your Pure Yata has been pleading what have society done. That road, you can't go there now.
You can't go.
For the last week, it rained. Nobody can. That road, they are doing, they have abandoned it. You can't enter there. John, I'm asking you to try. So that if they say societies can relocate, it's an option.
Right.
Then those of us who we move away and leave Ghana.
I pray
and
not.
we produce the highest maize and soya bean. So how do you link the two? Meanwhile, there is a World Bank report. In fact, several publications. Crop yields have been able to be doubled and tripled in some instances when roads were fixed. Because inputs could go and outputs could also go the other way around. But we have the reverse. So I would like to appeal to you personally to try to advocate for our poor roads, and we'll continue to work.
Professor Roger Canton, thank you very much. Dr. Inusa, grateful that you could join us, and also Mr. Edward Kariwa, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We have to go and make way for Womenpreneur. It's 28 minutes after 9 on 3FM 92.7. It's been an insightful conversation, and I see all your comments on social media. We'll get time to read it along the way. And we're getting straight into birthdays in a bit.
92.7.
Maki, you have to record these birthdays for us. Yeah. Time for birthdays at this point. Let's wish a few people happy birthday.
Happy birthday.